Hello and good afternoon to everyone. As promised, we are live now for the question answer sessions on anything that you need to know about study abroad. As we wait for more viewers to join in and to see what questions they have, we'll take 5 minutes for people to join so that we can see what questions they have, and based on that, we will start answering your questions. While we wait for participants to join and look at other options, the updates we've had in the last 1 week. We had update coming in from the VFS office of Italy, where they now say that they will take minimum 90 days is the wait period for student visas to be approved. Earlier, it was about 45 days for the decision outcome on Italy student visas. But now the Italy VFS has clearly stated that it could take up to 90 days. That was one major update in the last week that we had about study abroad. Another report that came in from the Australian authorities was that about 50% of student visa applications from India, Pakistan, and Nepal were refused. Major concern being the GT requirement, where they said that students, because of the GT requirement, were not able to meet and they had to almost refuse 50% of the student visa applications. That was some sort of worry that we had in the last week about the Australian student visas. So those were some two major updates that we've had in the last week. It's showing an error. Yeah, but then it says here YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming as such. Okay, we are waiting for people to post their questions so that if they have any questions related to study abroad, we can definitely help you answer. I don't see any questions at the moment. while we wait for more viewers to join and post questions, I have an interesting fact here which says that is 15 years education acceptable for masters? So, what we need to analyze and understand here is that all technical master's program require 16 years of education in Canada. There are few institutions accepting 15 years of education for MBA programs, and 15 years of education is generally acceptable for all PG diplomas except for few technical courses requiring an engineering degree. So 15 years of education is accepted in very few universities, but not in all of the universities. So what is the range of amount of scholarships that generally Canadian universities offer? We have seen instances that for technical master's programs, there are scholarships ranging from 8,000 Canadian dollars to about 15,000 Canadian dollars at times for technical programs. We've also had for B school or MBA applications scholarship going up to even 50,000 Canadian dollars. So this is some sort of scholarships that are generally awarded by universities in Canada. Is GRE required for most programs in Canada is the next big question that people ask me. Now, GRE is absolutely not required for most programs on these universities in Canada, but it is very, very program specific. So, some particular programs may say that they would need the GRE scores. So, depending on the program and the university that you decide to, you will have to get a call on looking at how to look for the GRE or not. Kapil, I can't see the questions here. What is the range of scholarships awarded in the United States is the first question that I have. So, again, scholarships in the United States is very competitive for the simple reason there are about 4,000 universities in the United States for scholarships. So, we have seen in the past people have got scholarships again ranging from 2,000 US dollars to even 20,000 US dollars for technical courses. For MBA, if the applicant has an average work ex of about 5 years, we've seen getting even 50% tuition waivers for B school applications or MBA schools and programs in the United States. Now we have another question which says, will Dropbox concept of US visa continue for 2023? There is no official notification by the embassy officials on the continuation of the Dropbox. But as we run this live session today, the notification is clear that Dropbox is continued until December end of 2022. But the recent update that the officials spoke about in the past, where they said that things could get normalized only by June, July of 2023, where people will be able to get normal dates. So, anticipating that things could go normal only by June, July of 2023, we are hoping that the Dropbox appointments could continue until June, July of 2023. But that's an anticipation, depending on what was stated earlier. So, I hope I have answered that question as well. We have some questions coming in from viewers where they ask whether distance learning is acceptable in Canada. Now, majority of the universities in Canada ideally do not accept distance learning education, but there are some universities and colleges in Canada which accept distance learning education, like Thomson Rivers University in Canada and Vancouver Island University in Canada accepts distance learning education degrees. We have colleges like the Constega College, the Fanshawe College, the Candoro College, the George Brown College. They do accept distance learning, but they would have some conditions and we will have to be careful on the conditions. So very rarely you will find universities or colleges in Canada accepting distance education? So we are waiting for more questions from the viewers. This is for you to post your question so that we can answer all that you have concerns about study abroad. You must be aware that there are two kinds of study permits that are issued in Canada, S1 and SW. So a lot of people get confused. What is an S1 visa and what is an SW visa? S1 is study only visa and SW1 is study and work visa. Now the SW1 is generally given to those students who go for co-op programs. So if a co-op is a part of your academic curriculum or your master's program, because when you're filling in your Canada visa application, it clearly asks these questions. What is the S1, whether you are going only for study or whether co-op is a part of your study. So if it's only studies, then it is called as the S1 study visa. If co-op is a part of it, then it is the SW1 study and work visa. This is one thing which most people are not aware of, and I thought I should talk about this while we are waiting for more questions to come in. Yes, we have a question from Ritu Jain. Will work experience help for master's applications in the US? Definitely. Relevant work experience in the subject that you intend to study in the United States will definitely help you. Now, a lot of people have a confusion on how is the work experience calculated or computed. One important thing that you have to keep in mind is if you've been doing internships in between the semester break, that is absolutely not considered as work experience. For most American universities, when we talk about work experience, it is predominantly post-bachelor's degree. When you start working, that is considered as work experience. A lot of students, I'll give you an example, say that I have started working now and I will be flying in August, September of 2023. Will the university consider my work experience until August, September of 2023? Unfortunately, work experience is conducted or considered only until the time you make an application. So let's say you're applying in December of 2022. Your work experience is considered only until the December of 2022. For the simple reason, there is a possibility that you could quit your job after applying to the universities. So the university officials are smart guys here. They know that. So they consider work experience only until the time you make an application and not until the time you fly. So that's one thing that you have to keep in mind. That is very, very important. And definitely work experience adds a lot of weightage to your profile in terms of getting an admission, in terms of postmaster's pay packages, would also help you get better pay packages. So work experience is recommended if you can work in the industry relevant to the field that you intend to study abroad. Okay, we have another question which says, would applying early to universities help in getting an admit sooner? Now, this is country specific. United States universities do not work on first come first serve basis because they predominantly work on the profile of the applicant. So having said that, let's say there are two applicants. An applicant who's got an excellent profile of let's say 9.50, a GRE of 330, submits an application just 5 days before the deadline, cannot be denied an offer because there was this applicant with lesser credentials who applied 1 month earlier than the deadline. Yes, but universities in countries like United Kingdom, Ireland, Australia, they do work on first come first serve basis because they do not have a specific deadline. They work on rolling basis. So considering that, those countries applying earlier gets you earlier admits. But if you're looking at United States and Canada, they generally do not work on first come first serve basis. But yes, Canadian colleges for PG diploma program do consider applications on first come first serve basis? I hope that question is answered. So we have another question here. Graduation writing assessment requirement. This has been specified in most Californian state universities. Could you tell a little bit more about this? Now, graduation writing assessment requirement is generally not a mandatory field for technical programs, but if somebody is applying for a Master of Education program, that's when we ask applicants to have a sample writing. But if it is a mandatory field in like what most Californian state universities have recently introduced, it is about your project synopsis. So if you've done any mini project, if you've done any final year project, and you have a synopsis of it, that can be considered towards your graduation writing assessment requirement, where it talks about your technical writing skills, how you put it down. So applicants who are enrolled with us for our services, we've already given you some samples about these project synopses, how you need to prepare them, and that can be uploaded where they ask for the graduation writing assessment requirements. Okay. We have a question here which says, how do universities evaluate paper publication? Does impact factor of the paper matter? Yes, universities give preference to paper publications which are in international publications published and approved. They are given the maximum weightage. Then we have IEEE journals or any other local journals that you're publishing. But yes, if published in international journals, they definitely have more weightage over the others. Is GRE score of 305 to 310 of any use, or is writing it again recommended? Now, this question is a very subjective thing, because different programs have different cutoffs. So if I'm looking at a master's in computer science program, I might feel a score of 305 to 310 may not be a great score. Also, there are universities which are CGPA centric. So let's say I have a university where I have a CGPA of 9.5, but my GRE is only 310. It still makes sense only for that. So the question is for electrical engineering, wherein the applicant has typed in, for electrical engineering, a score of 305 to 310 with a CGPA of about 7.5 plus should be a good score, provided your quantitative score on the GRE is about minimum 158. So if you hold 158 and your CGPA of about 7.5 plus for a master's in electrical engineering, should be a good choice, should not be a problem. Okay, fine. We have a question here which says, what is the ideal way to shortlist US universities? There are a lot of resources online where people look at these resources to look at, how do I go about shortlisting universities? This is a big question mark on everybody's mind, guys. Now, a lot of people go by ranking. Unfortunately, people follow usnews.com. They treat it as a holy Bible to look at the ranking of the universities. Ranking is ideally not a parameter one should consider for shortlisting universities, because there are different websites giving you different ways on which the ranking is given, or the parameters for ranking is taken into consideration. So ideally, we ask applicants to have a mixed bag of universities that they're looking at. Anything can be looked at. You can just go to common search engines or platforms where you can come up with a preliminary list, and then the preliminary list can be again forwarded or further filtered or shortlisted to see as to how you can classify which of them are ambitious for you, which of them are moderate for you, or which of them are safe for you. In fact, on our YouTube channel, we have a separate video where I have spoken about what are the parameters, what you should consider, or how you should go about looking at shortlisting universities. So if you search for that and you look at that video, you will get some hints and ideas on how you should be going on shortlisting your universities. For me, the course structure, the curriculum makes a very important thing when I'm looking at universities. For me, cost also plays a very vital role. Location also plays a vital role. The research that is happening at a particular university relevant to your field of study also plays a significant role. Faculty profile also significant role, including the lab infrastructures available. These are some of the parameters that we always ask students to keep in mind when they are shortlisting universities. Okay, Ritu Jain asks a question. When do universities in the US usually give out admits for fall 2023? Surprisingly, we have a couple of students who've applied to University of Texas Dallas last month and they already have received admissions, which is very, very unusual. But if you're talking specifically about universities in the US, for fall 2023 should start rolling out decisions mid-February to early April. That's when they usually start rolling out decisions. That's the period that we need to watch for. I hope that answers your question. Okay, so we're waiting in for more questions to come in. If we have more people having questions, we would be more than happy to answer them. I did not understand. Where do I share it? Yeah. Okay, we have a question up here again which says, if we get an admit soon, what would be the time frame in which we need to accept the admit? This policy again varies from university to university. Generally, American universities do not give you a time frame by which you should accept the offer because their policy is pretty straightforward. The earlier you want your I-20, the earlier you will be able to apply for a visa and book a date. So they say that the earlier you take a decision, you pay the non-refundable deposit that generally asked, which varies from $100 to $1,000. Some even don't even ask for it. And very rarely I have seen universities where they say that by this specified date, you need to confirm your admission and make a non-refundable deposit. It's only then you are bounded by a time frame. If not, most American universities do not ask you for any time frame because that choice is left to you, because the earlier you decide, the earlier you will be applying for an I-20, and the earlier you apply for an I-20, you will be able to book a date. So when you're applying to universities, rank them in your order of preference, and if you get an admit from a university which was in your top 2 or top 3, go ahead, accept the offer, get the I-20, so that later on if a better university also comes through, you can still choose to go to that, so that you can have multiple I-20s. There is no problem with that. Okay, so we're waiting in for more questions to come in, people. So do we have any questions coming up? Waiting for more viewers to come in. Okay, we have a question which says, do you help with visa process? Yes, we do help with visa process. So if a student has applied on his own, has got an admission, has got an I-20, and they approach us for any sort of visa services like helping them understand what goes into an American visa, what are the financial requirements, what is the documentation involved. We help them fill the DS 160, but of course, we will not be able to help you block the visa interview date. That is done by the applicant. And once the date is confirmed, we conduct mock visa interview training sessions for the students, post which we also assist them with any sort of pre-departure services that could be required for the applicants. So we do assist in the visa process. Okay, we're looking in for some more questions coming in. So we'll wait for the last 5 minutes to see if more questions coming up. If not, then we would definitely go in for the next live on next Saturday at 3 o'clock, because we go live for question answer sessions every Saturday at 3 o'clock. Yes, we have a question coming up here, that how does the location of the college matter for jobs or internships? It significantly does not matter the location when it comes to jobs or internships, because at the end of it, people do relocate. So it's like, let's say I've got an admission into Georgia Institute of Technology and I've got an admission into San Jose State University. A lot of people feel that San Jose is the hub for jobs and career, the Silicon Valley in the United States. So if I'm going to study at San Jose, my job or career is or internship is assured. But why would somebody leave a university like Georgia Tech to choose San Jose State University? So I don't give preference for location as a major priority. It all depends on the reputation of the university. To an extent, it does, but not significantly. Okay, we have a question which says some university websites say that GRE scores are not considered. Should we still go ahead and write it? We don't recommend writing GRE if you are applying to those universities where the GRE is not required at all. But if you are considering applying to only universities where the GRE is waived off, unfortunately your options are limited. So to maximize your options, we are asking applicants to go ahead with the GRE so that your options will be more. And also without the GRE, the admission is going to get tougher and tougher, because the number of applications increase and there were mass rejections last year as well. So applying to only universities where the GRE is not required is a gamble according to me, as long as you are willing to take the risk. And also, if the GRE is not considered in making a decision, then other aspects of your profile need to be really strong if you really want to make an admit from a particular university. So maximize your options with GRE is what I recommend. Okay, we have a question here which says, when will visa slots open for spring 2023? The first batch of slots for spring 2023 was already open. A lot of students have already booked their dates. The second batch for refused applicants and fresh applicants tentatively could open by the last week of November, wherein students could book in December as well. So the first batch was already open. Now we are waiting for the second batch. Embassy officials predict November last week is what they should be opening in the month of December for the interviews. Okay, we have an interesting question here which says, can we get part-time jobs or assistantships before leaving for university? Okay, so part-time jobs is very difficult, because for part-time jobs you have to be in the campus to apply for jobs, look for jobs, give interviews and seek jobs. Assistantships, yes, if it was pre-pandemic, people have got assistantships by writing to professors. But unfortunately, of late, what we have observed, when students are writing to professors for research assistantships and teaching assistantships, they are entertaining only PhD applicants and are not entertaining the master's applicants. So for master's applicants, they're saying your profile looks interesting. Probably drop by the department when you're here. I would like to set up a meeting with you. I would like to conduct an interview, and based on that, I will decide if an assistantship should be awarded to you or not. So off late, assistantships have become difficult, but of course, for part-time jobs, you have to be in the US to apply for these jobs because they have to be done on the campus, and legally, you're allowed to work only on the campus in the first year. From the second year, you can do part-time jobs outside the campus. Okay, we have a question here that says, why do people suggest going for the fall intake? Fall is a major intake. All university applications are open during the fall intake. Spring intake, there are only about 60% of them which give you admissions or offer admissions for specific programs. So you're losing out on about 40% of good universities at times during the spring intake. So if you're very keen on particular universities that do not offer a spring intake but offer a fall intake, then we recommend a fall because the options all are open. But in spring, it's only few that are open. That's why we recommend fall. Okay. We have a question here which says, sir, I recently changed my name, but I cannot make these changes in my 10th and 12th mark sheet. What should I do? You really don't have to break your head on changing your names in the 10th and the 12th mark sheet, because when you're filling in your applications, it does ask, do your mark sheets or records appear on a different name? That's where you can enter how it is on your 10th and your 12th mark sheet. But when you're filling in your applications, make sure that you enter your names as per the passport only. That is highly, highly, highly recommended. We have a question here which says, will extracurricular activities play a role in getting scholarships? Yes, very much. Extracurricular activities do play a role in getting scholarships, specifically if they are related to community services, NGOs, or if you've been a national level player. There are a lot of scholarships that we have seen students bagging in when they have what you call the extracurricular activities. Okay, we have a question for undergraduate admissions in the application. We should just add the email of the recommender and they get the link. Yes, you're right. Once you submit your application online, your recommender receives a link and they would be answering some basic questions about you, like how long have they known you, or what subjects they have tutored you, or what is the class size that they're comparing you to, and then they attach the scanned copy of the letter of recommendation and submit it. So the link goes directly to the recommenders. Any more questions from viewers? Okay, I'm going to wait for the last couple of minutes and then probably we end today's session. Quite some interesting questions we were able to answer. We look forward for more people participating the next Saturday at 3 p.m. when we go live. So we plan to continue this series of question answer live sessions until December end. Every Saturday we go live at 3 p.m. Okay, I think we can wrap today's session here. Yeah, we have one last question coming in here which says, is January the right time to write GRE for fall admission? Yes, there are quite a lot of good universities whose deadlines are January 15th, January 31st. So if you're able to get your GRE scores even before January 15th, I'm sure you'll have some good universities to apply for. So that should not be losing hopes on. It's not that you have to have your scores in December. You might have missed some universities in December, but quite a lot of them, good ranked, good programs, are available in January as well. So that's what is still possible, and you should not be disappointed on that. You can write your GRE in January as well. Fine. So that's the session that we are wrapping up today, and I'm happy that a lot of you came up with a lot of questions, and I'm sure I did justice by answering these questions. We now come to you live next Saturday at 3 p.m. Thank you for watching.